I don't know how this video is going to turn out relative to my other videos. This one is a little bit different just in terms of the subject. Today we're talking about players in the NBA who I've been seeing too much of lately. Players who were overexposed to for a variety of reasons. Actually, pretty much every player is on this list because the team they're on is just kind of bad and they're like the only good thing about it. I haven't been able to make a video in a few days because I'm stuck in exam hell, so just bear with me. We will get back to a consistent upload schedule after Thursday when my last exam is over. When I say I'm overexposed to these players, I do not want to say that these players are bad or that they do not deserve attention. I'm just saying right now they're getting too much attention and it's either demonstrating that their team is ass or that they are like too much of a bright spot. They're the only good thing going on, and I just kind of I want to hear more about these teams and I want to hear less about these players because I understand that they're good. These players are sort of becoming the main storyline in ways I didn't expect, or in ways I did expect, but to a degree that I did not foresee. So make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let's just get into it. Okay, first on our list, we got Derrick Queen. Now, I came into this season as a top 1% Derrick Queen believer. And then finally, if the Derrick Queen anti-propaganda actually works and he falls outside the lottery or even the top 10, somebody's got to get fired. This guy should be like a top 8 pick for sure. I didn't shit on the trade that much when the Pelicans made it, and I'll justify it now, which I've done in previous videos, but I will justify it again. They used their pick a year early to take Derrick Queen. They banked on having upside this year, Trey Murphy upside, Jordan Poole coming in, Zion being healthy, the rookies being really good, the depth looking okay, winning like 35-36 games, so that pick next year becomes the 10th pick, and using their pick a year early to get Derrick Queen. That trade was not as bad as people make it out to be. And I think the reason Derrick Queen is getting so much attention is because that trade is always going to be linked to him, no matter what. Whoever that pick ends up becoming, those two players will be fundamentally joined forever. And yes, the Pelicans traded too much. They did not need to give up Asa Newell and an unprotected first. They didn't need to give up like either of those things necessarily. But Derrick Queen has been really awesome. But at the same time, like, he's even exceeded my expectations of how good he's been, and it's just become the whole team is just Derrick Queen now. Trey Murphy is literally having a career year, and Jeremiah Fears is one of the better rookie guards in my opinion. I think Jeremiah Fears is going to be a perennial all-star as well, so I think they had an amazing draft. And Zion and Jordan Poole have been in and out of the lineup like all season, and people aren't really talking about that. Like, people have just sort of resigned themselves to this is how it works with Zion, which is fair, but Jordan Poole hasn't really played that much either, so I just want to know what's going on with the rest of this team. What's going on with the James Borrego situation? Are they looking for a new coach, or are we just going to talk about Derrick Queen putting up triple doubles the whole season? And if he keeps doing that, that's fine. He's going to have a chance at winning Rookie of the Year. I really think Rookie of the Year, more than almost any other award, should not be based on how much your team wins, so Derrick Queen's got a good chance to win it, but I also think that like he's stealing a little bit too much of the spotlight. I want to hear more about Jeremiah Fears. I want to put him on blast because I think he's going to be awesome, and I think he's already very good and very polished. I want to hear about Trey Murphy and how much the trade rumors are starting to heat up and how many picks he's actually worth. Is Trey Murphy worth like 4 first-round picks? He's not that much worse, if not just better than Desmond Bane. I don't know. I just feel like Queen is starting to become the whole team, and honestly, that's okay. I still think they should trade Zion, but like let's just talk about some other shit in New Orleans, please. Are they actually getting relocated? That's another storyline I want to hear about. All right, next on this list, this is a really personal one. I don't know if people will see this, but is it just me, or is Naji Marshall getting like way too much attention since he got to Dallas? They signed this guy to be the Derrick Jones replacement last season, and since then it feels like he's had like an unnecessarily large burden to carry like for a lot of these games. Like, I feel like a lot of late game possessions in Mavericks games end with like Naji Marshall having to take like a tough contested midi, or like Naji Marshall having to run some offense. I remember I picked this guy up in fantasy at the end of last year, and he was like bench pressing the shit out of like every game for me. He's been like unnecessarily valuable to this team, and that's not an indictment on Naji Marshall. He's a good player. He's like a good 3-and-D wing. He's really big, so he can kind of create off the dribble. He's very athletic, but I don't think the Mavericks envision this guy being like a damn near 30-minute per game player who had like a very big burden on both sides of the ball every night. Like, obviously Cooper Flag helps their wing depth, but to be honest, they're still pretty thin there and like everywhere aside from center, and now they're kind of thin there because Derrick Lively's gonna miss the whole season. I don't know, I just feel like Naji Marshall gets like too much of the lion's share of the offense at the end of games. I'm kind of surprised that he's become such a big focal point of this team, because I really expected him to just be like a 6th or 7th man role player, and he's been having to spot start a lot of games for them. And I think when they signed him, they anticipated him being a slight downgrade from Derrick Jones Jr., at least on the defensive end, maybe a slight upgrade in terms of shooting, but like they're playing him like they upgraded from like a Hyundai to a Mercedes. Like the minutes jump is like kind of significant with him. All right, next up on this list is James Harden, which I don't even really think I need to explain this one. The only thing preventing AJ DeBonsa or Darren Peterson or Cameron Boozer, I can't believe I'm about to say these names in OKC in the same sentence. The only reason those guys are not going to be on the Thunder next year will be because James Harden turns back the clock this much. I can't believe how much he's having to carry this team on offense, and he can really give them nothing on defense because of that. This Clippers team is completely embarrassing. The fact that they cut Chris Paul for criticizing their effort on defense is laughable and embarrassing and hilarious, and they should get some kind of fine for elder abuse for cutting him in his last season. He's playing amazing, and he's really working to get his buckets this year. He has been awesome, super reliable, super available, which is one thing that you haven't been able to say about Clippers stars in the last like 6 or 7 years. But this team is not trying on defense at all, so really every good James Harden game just goes straight in the toilet, and it doesn't matter. I want to see this Clippers team try to make an upgrade at the deadline, pretty much more than any other team in the NBA. It turns out that Bradley Beal and John Collins in exchange for Norman Powell is actually like a severe downgrade, especially now that Bradley Beal's out for the year. Like, they basically traded Norman Powell for nothing. John Collins, who's now just a spot-up shooter because I guess they just don't know how to use him. I'm really not sure what the pivot is going to be for this team at the deadline, what trade they can really make, because it seems like all the players who are good on this team are the only thing keeping them alive. James Harden's the only thing keeping them alive. They have like no picks, basically no young players. But it's not fair that James Harden in like the twilight years of his career should be having to bench press this much for basically no reward. Can we get this guy some help? Like, seriously, can we get him some help? Next on this list, I got Tyrese Maxey, who has been unbelievable this year. This isn't really an indictment on Tyrese, but really more an indictment on the media coverage of the rest of this team. Other than the early season VJ Edgecombe and Kelly Oubre hype, which has like completely died in the last 3 weeks, VJ has just been fine. Kelly Oubre's been hurt. Other than that, like, I mean, nothing's really going on with this team. Paul George came back and like there was like complete silence, crickets when that happened. Joel Embiid oscillates between completely washed and having like turn back the clock games every now and then. I'm not really sure where we're at with him, like what's up with his minutes. Like, are we just gonna like have a permanent every other game system with him? Maxey's been the one consistent bright spot, and he deserves a ton of credit. He is playing at like a first team All-NBA level, just on like a very mediocre team. I just wish we get to hear a little bit more about Jared McCain, about where VJ Edgecombe is at now that he's normalized. How good Joel Embiid really is at this point. Because obviously now this is no longer Joel's team. What are the necessary next steps for the Sixers? What's going to happen next? I just feel like Tyrese being so good and benching them in so many games has really taken away from seeing like the forest before the trees with this team. And I really feel like that's where they've got to focus. Because Embiid and Paul George just look like dead assets. Especially Paul George. Like, if I guess he's just a 16 point per game on like average shooting. Like, I don't really know what the rest of the supporting cast looks like. They have other interesting young players too. Justin Edwards, Adem Bona. Those are guys I really, really like. It's just really unfortunate that I feel like Tyrese, as good as he's been and as much as it's been earned, has kind of taken the spotlight away from those other players because it just feels like the rest of the team is so mediocre. Next on this list, I got Canpple. This one is a little bit different because, to be honest, I actually kind of get why the tension is starting to shift to him. I think the Hornets should trade LaMelo Ball. I have decided that they're now too far off of his timeline with all the good rookies they have now, plus Brandon Miller. I really think they should pivot to that direction. I'm just going to PMO that this team went from from like the Brandon Miller and LaMelo story to now just the Canpple story, I feel like Brandon Miller's been completely written out of the script. Their other rookies have been big sensations too, like Sion James has been great, Kalkbrenner's been great, they get the coverage, but I feel like Canpple has gotten like a majority of the coverage about this team, him and LaMelo not being on the floor. But Brandon Miller is in his third year. I predicted him to be like an all-star this year. I thought he was going to be that good. Con has really sort of taken his place in the pecking order, and I really wish that wasn't the case because Brandon Miller is a very fun player. Had a sort of nice rounding into form game in Cleveland the other night, but other than that, I mean, he's just kind of been unremarkable. I kind of want to know what's going on with him, what's the severity of the shoulder thing, like where his development is going, if he really fits next to Canpple, if he's a player that really fits. Brandon Miller is a guy who kind of fits into that bucket of like big guards, athletic shooting guards who like we don't really know if they can create offense for others or play defense. He's got all the traits to be a superstar. It's just not really sure if we're gonna get to that point. I want to see what the evolution of that is this year. I feel like all the Canpple story, which has been like perfectly reasonable, he's probably leading the Rookie of the Year race right now. I feel like that is kind of distracted from the initial Brandon Miller hype that we had like last year and the year before, which I really feel like should be the real story, because to me, as good as Con is, I really do think he's sort of built to be like a sidekick. He's built to be a very high-level role player. Not that he can't be an all-star at some point. Like, I guess, like, in a way, Scotty Barnes is kind of like a super high-level role player. There are lots of high-level role players who are stars in the NBA. You know, I had aspirations of this team being pretty good if they could get a center, and they did find a center in the draft, and it really looks like they're just a one-man band, and the team overall has been very unremarkable. I want to hear more about Brandon Miller. I really want him to be the focus just as much as Con is. But Con's been great. This guy is like a cold-ass white boy. Like, there's no denying that. Next on this list, I got Ryan Rollins. Just an indictment on the Bucks that this is the only thing that has gone well for them this season, Ryan Rollins being awesome. He has deserved every bit of the praise he's gotten. He should be a most improved player candidate, top 3 bare minimum. This is a guy whose career was on the brink of death. Like, he was literally arrested for shoplifting from Target like 2 years ago. Basically a throw-in in the Chris Paul Jordan Poole trade not all that long ago. This was a guy who should not have made it to this point. When he was in the Bucks rotation last year in the playoffs, I kind of scoffed at that because I didn't think he was that good and he really didn't play all that good. But he just has improved so much this year at just slowing the game down and playing at his pace. He's a very weird young point guard because a lot of young point guards play super jittery and fast and sort of out of control. He plays very, very slowly and to his own pace. He doesn't let the game speed him up at all. Like, it's very obvious in the way he plays. He just doesn't move very fast for a point guard who's pretty athletic and long and tall and has all the traits of a good young guard. He also plays very slowly, very methodically. And I like that. I think that's fun, but at the same time, like, I kind of wish there was other good things going on in Milwaukee. Like, it's the A storyline is Giannis getting traded, and the B storyline is the only other good thing about this team is Ryan Rollins, and everyone else on the team is just sort of jumbled together. Like, there's this Kevin Porter piece, and like, how good is Gary Trent been, and Miles Turner's been kind of underwhelming, and I feel like all those other C and D and E storylines are like just jumbled in together in this massive, well, Milwaukee's just kind of bad now. Like, the Bucks could, I think, reasonably try to upgrade this team at the deadline. They've kind of got some pieces to work with now that they've got a point guard. Kevin Porter Jr., I don't really know if he's expendable because he's just so dumb nice. I mean, say what you want about Kevin Porter, that boy is dumb nice. But it's just kind of like everyone has just resigned themselves to this team being Ryan Rollins is just your point guard now, and Giannis is getting traded, and that's it. That's all that's going on in Milwaukee. But I don't really think that's that interesting. I want to hear more about this team, so I feel like we kind of got to turn the Ryan Rollins storyline into this is everything else the Bucks have instead of Giannis. This is everything the Bucks have aside from Giannis, and Ryan Rollins is the best piece. But like, what else is going on with this team? Are any of the other players on this team valuable? And then the last player I got on this list is Pat Spencer, the worst of the Spencer brothers in my opinion. Still been pretty good for the Warriors this season, but you just know your season is completely baked when this guy emoting on the Cavs is the highlight of the month, the flavor of the week. Like, that's literally all this team has going on right now. I think the Warriors are absolutely cooked. They're in a terrible position. This is a team that's so moody, like, constantly, and that is very obvious, like, from their personnel. You've got Jonathan Kuminga beefing with the coaches, the GM, the owner, the players on the floor, whoever it is, beefing with his agent probably. Obviously, Draymond Green is going to to be punching and kicking and screaming and crying constantly on his podcast or in the media or whatever, on the floor. And that's coming from someone who loves Draymond and thinks he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Jimmy Butler is obviously a massive personality, and Steph Curry is just sitting in the middle of this, like, I don't even know what it would be like to be Steph Curry right now, to have to deal with this mess, putting up 48 points in Portland last night and still losing. Just a bit of a disastrous season from the Warriors, and I have no idea, like, what happened to the Kuminga magic, what happened to the early season magic. Like, I guess the Kuminga thing is just, like, actually over now. His shot selection's gotten worse again. Like, I have defended him tooth and nail. I fought for him tooth and nail, and early in this season was so vindicating to see him playing much better, playing much more within the system, making the right decisions, and it feels like that's just gone away. And to circle this back to Pat Spencer, like, this guy's just been the flavor of the month for this team, and he's like the 8th or 9th man in the rotation, the backup point guard at best. He's a good player. He's not remarkable, though. I don't really know what's remarkable about him. Again, I don't even think he's the best Spencer brother. His brother's shooting like almost 50% from 3. This guy, like, the only remarkable thing I have to say about Pat Spencer is he looks like the first evolution stage of Jason Kelsey. Like, that's the only thing interesting and going on with him. And maybe you can throw, like, Aaron Rodgers in the middle of that and have, like, a nice 3-stage evolution line. Pat Spencer, solid player, decent point guard, plays with a ton of, like, grit, and, like, he really fights for his minutes. He had to fight to get here. That's another thing that I really like about him. But, like, I mean, come on. This is the flavor of the month in Golden State. You've got Steph Curry. You've got the Jonathan Kuminga situation. All of that is so bad that the only positive is Pat Spencer. I haven't heard a word about Al Horford this year. I don't really know how washed he is. He looks fine. But man, dude, the situation in Golden State's just so depressing. The fact that this is like the A-tier storyline right now is just, it's just upsetting. But listen, that's the list. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try to get back to consistent uploads after Thursday. I'm kind of sick right now, and I'm also having to deal with this last exam, which is a nightmare. I folded my laundry and made my bed before this video. Make sure you guys go do the same, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.